Hey guys, welcome to this episode of The Hub on CGTN. I'm Wang Guan from the capital city of Montenegro. Now, China's overseas infrastructure projects came under great scrutiny over the years and decades. And behind me is Bar-Boljare Highway. That is a trans-Montenegro highway connecting the country's south to the north. There has been so much negative press, so much controversy. Some accuse it of being China's debt trap diplomacy. Some are concerned about the environmental damages from the construction. Some are questioning the utility of the bridge, the highway in the first place. Now, just to be fair, as journalists, we thought what better way to verify some of these claims than to actually come over here and see for ourselves. Jelena, hi. Before I hit the road, I met Jelena Petkovic. She's the deputy project manager of the Montenegro Highway project. Jelena, tell us about this place. This looks fascinating.
Yeah, we are now in the central control center of the highway, in the main room, which is called TMCC, and it is taken over by the employer, specifically a company called Monteput, who are official operator of the highway after its completion. So from 14th of July, highway is open and it's now operated by Monteput.
This is for safety and then double safety.
This is like a little brain of the highway, of this section and hopefully of the future sections. So here in this room you can see what is happening in each tunnel system which is installed on the site, and also physically see what is happening with the users on the highway, with the cars and the trucks. A lot of cameras are installed, as you can see, and they're covering each meter of the highway. There is a automatic accident control system which is detecting any kind of unusual activity on the highway about the system functions that are integrated in the tunnel. Actually, after the highway was open on 14th of July, there were quite a large number of cars who got self-fired because of not adapted their driving speed to the inclination. But luckily, this control center with sufficient number of people, more than 100, divided into a few different departments, so their response was very good from the day one.
Now, without further ado, let's hit the road and see what it is like. So, Jelena, this is the toll, right?
Yeah, this is like the entrance toll. It is nice. Driving from Podgorica, it's quite pleasant to the beginning of first Montenegrin highway.
Really, like, to build a highway, to drill through the tunnels, it's no easy task, right? Because, like the country's name suggests, Black Mountains. They're mountains after mountains.
For sure.
It's a 3-lane drive, right? 1, 2, 3.
Exactly, it's a 2-lane for driving, and the right lane in this case is emergency. And we do have, in the positions with a big higher inclination, we do have 3 lanes. The third one is reserved for the slow vehicles.
Going through the first tunnel.
Yeah, first tunnel.
Let's see.
Yeah, Suka.
Let's see what it is like. Wow. I've been to quite some tunnels. I lived in the US for 8 years. In China, I travel all over the place. This is as good as any of the tunnels that I've been. What do you think?
Well, I was also traveling quite a lot, and I can say that similar tunnels to those that we have built in Montenegro, I only saw in West Europe in Alps. And actually, this section of the project can be only compared with similar section in European Alps in the terms of the area where it was built, and also in the terms of the quality and the standards which were required.
It feels pretty safe, given how high the guardrail is, right?
Oh yeah, the safety was of the highest demands, and it was totally done in accordance with European standards and norms. So safety barriers were done with the extreme high level of protections for the passengers.
Sometimes people don't give credit to the highway where credit is due. There's so many negative coverage about how expensive this highway is.
Yeah, I would say it's very easy to criticize. It is much harder to do something and to construct something.
Yeah.
But yeah, fully aware. We were constructing this highway 7 years, and during all these 7 years we were exposed to quite high pressure from critics. One of it was that there are no benefits, and I totally disagree.
A path to nowhere.
With that, yeah, like from nowhere to nowhere, how they're calling it. This is the first section of Montenegrin highway actually, and it is the technically most challenging, most demanding section to construct. So you need to start from somewhere, and if you're choosing from where to start, it is a wise decision to start from the most complicated part, which Montenegrin government did decide when they decided to hire a Chinese company to construct it. So first they finished the hardest section, and the second they resolved one of Montenegrin biggest safety problems. Montenegro is a mountain country, so a lot of canyons. One of them is Canyon of Morač River that we could see here at the beginning, and there is an old road which was the only road to the north and to the city Kolašin before the highways was constructed, and unfortunately this road was one of Montenegrin traffic black points, how we are calling them. A lot of people lost their life.
Traffic black points.
Exactly, a lot of traffic accidents, and unfortunately the number of casualties is measured in hundreds. Especially in winter and in rainy season, it is really a road from hell.
Well, I can only imagine, Jelena, the amount of work that it took for the workers from China, from Montenegro, from other countries to drill through the tunnels, right, with heavy machinery.
It was a big undertaking. Montenegro is a small country, so presumably the resources here are quite limited. So the most of the resources were brought from China, because without China experienced labor and the most modern machinery, it would be impossible to construct it in such a short period of time.
From the port city of Bar in the south of Montenegro all the way to the Serbian border is only going to take, what, 2 hours with this highway? When it's all completely done? Without a highway, it currently takes, what?
Depending who is driving.
A day?
Well, for good drivers, it takes 6 hours to Belgrade. For not so good drivers,
it would take me 10 hours.
It would take 12 for me, so it would be very good after entire highway is completed. Then it will get its the most important benefit for Montenegro, and this is like connection of Montenegro to the European network of highways through Serbia. So this is
not a path to nowhere. I mean, it actually.
Of course, it's not.
And it was a Montenegrin decision, right? Montenegro is an independent sovereign country. It chose this to work with China because I think previously the president told me that they tried to work with the European bank, with the Deutsche Bank, with American, financiers, but there couldn't be a deal.
Exactly. Government of Montenegro was opening public invitation for offers from different contractors, and the offer is supposed to be a kind of a package which involves financing and construction. So at the time when CRBC submitted such offer, as I'm aware, there were 2 more offers on the table. Chinese company with financing by the Chinese bank is chosen by the government of Montenegro between the options offered as the best one at the time. So it was a free will of Montenegro, and it was decision of Montenegro without any pressure. It was just a matter of choice with which company and which country to go into the cooperation.
Facing the unknown is always difficult. In a world in turmoil, it's easy to lose orientation. But when the storms come, we have to see the possibilities, reinvent, find new opportunities, discover a path forward. CGTN. See the difference.
Montenegro's Bar-Boljare Highway is the first cross-country expressway in the nation's history. It's constructed by China Road and Bridge Corporation, or CRBC, as part of the Belt and Road Initiative. The highway is hailed by senior Montenegrin officials as the beginning of the permanent connection between Montenegro and the world. But it's also criticized by the West as China's debt trap diplomacy, a criticism China considers unfair. You've been working so much on this bridge, reading the headlines from some journalists saying this is, a debt trap diplomacy of China. What's your, first response, emotional response to those headlines?
Okay, my first emotional response is that I really got mad because I am involved in this project since its beginning in 2015, and let's say even before that I was following what is going on with the infrastructure in Montenegro and when the first highway will start to be constructed. So really I find these accusations as totally biased. These are really, I would say, accusations which are not grounded, and these are kind of campaign against China and Chinese companies' impact, and campaign is led by, I would say, other companies and other interests who would like to build in Montenegro. And on that I can only say, no problem, come and build, just give the money, give the better let's say conditions than China gave, and you can do it. The important thing for Montenegro is that the highways are constructed like in every European country, and each European country took a loan from somebody. I would say that Croatia built their highways from the loans, Serbia built their highways from the loans, Italy built their most famous highway from the loans. So it's not any kind of special policy and politic applied in Montenegro highway construction. It's just like free market. Anybody can give a financing offer. So European and American institutions are always welcome to give their offer for construction of new sections in Montenegro, the same as China will do.
But there's so many double standards, right? When these Western European countries built their infrastructure many decades ago, it was expensive too, right? If you think about the Alps, we're talking about the Alps area. It was a tough areas to build anyway, and it was expensive too.
Yeah, exactly.
But back then you don't remember as much criticism or doubt or suspicion.
Of course, it was not at all point of interest. The only point of interest was to construct the tunnel and the highway, which is a normal. Here they were trying to present this project as extremely expensive, like it is more than 20 million per 1 kilometer, and then they were putting it in the context of the highways in Serbia, like it's so much more expensive. Unfortunately, these comparisons are not correct, because in order to compare the price you need to take similar infrastructure projects. This project, it's 40 kilometers long, but it's 60% is in the bridges and in the tunnels. So we do have only 16 kilometers of open route here. And in order to compare it, you need to find similar project in the Alps and then to compare the price.
You're comparing apples and to apples, right?
Exactly, to compare apples, not apples and frogs.
Apples and frogs. Now, to compare apples to apples, let's do some research. China constructed Bar-Boljare Highway in Montenegro cost around 20 million euros per kilometer. Where does it stand? According to World Highway, Germany and Austria, two countries situated along the Alps, spent an average of 28.9 million euros and 27.8 million euros per kilometer on their highways. Romania spent 34 million euros per kilometer for its mountainous Transylvania highway. And France spent 133 million euros per kilometer to rebuild a highway in its hilly Reunion Island. How much of a debt burden is it for Montenegro?
Well, when you put it on a blank paper, the loan which Exim Bank gave to Montenegro represents, I would say, high percentages in Montenegrin GDP.
Yeah.
However, if you want to build, you need to have resources, and Montenegro did not have resources, so the only way is actually to go and to seek for it from the financing institutions. And there is very, I would say, flexible and quite a long time when Montenegro should return the loan.
A 20-year loan with 6-year grace period, right?
Exactly.
And 2% interest rates.
Yeah, it was not the highest, let's say it was like below the average, I would say, that time, based on information I have. It was in the period of recovery of the world economy after its crash in 2008, so 2013 was for sure the good period for recovering of economies, and it was good for Montenegro to decide at that time to construct it without holding the decision, because I believe that much more damage would make if the decision was held for a few more years or decades.
I could only assume that there can be benefits to locals when it comes to transport industry, tourism, and others, right?
Yeah, it's totally like indirect benefits when it comes to the development of the local communities along the highway, which is to be expected. Of course, it's not happening immediately, but it takes time to develop because it will make transit easier, and it will make for tourism, which is one of the main industries in Montenegro actually, it will make much more accessible some villages which are at the moment along the highway, speaking only about the first section, and in the future when entire highway is finished, this will be like a big boost for Montenegro economy, and it can bring many more investors when they are coming and considering to invest in any region. The main question is how long it is from the airport and how long it is from the highway. So based on these two inputs, they're making their decision.
I mean, it's good to have scrutiny, but I think it's irresponsible for some reporters to come here, interview some villagers or some Chinese workers, and then take it as if that's the whole story about the bridge and the highway.
They were, I would say, instructed to do so. But now we are entering the longest tunnel on our highway.
Wow.
Which is something that we are all who are doing and working in this project proud of. This is tunnel which is a little bit more than 3 kilometers long, and there is a story behind. It was constructed together by a Chinese company, CRBC, and a local company called BMX.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like kind of synergy project. So it was like a big achievement.
Wow.
And actually this tunnel is in the transit area between a limestone and flesh material in the rock. So there were some smaller caverns along the construction, but we had actually some huge caverns. So it was like a big challenge for a Chinese designer, which they were resolving with such a big speed. How to close it? First, you cannot impact the cavern and its, let's say, living creatures inside, whatever, what biologists said. And then you need to make something which is safe. So very demanding calculations and constructions are actually above and below this tunnel in few points where huge caverns were discovered, and really CRBC engineers were resolving it so efficiently, as it was the only way to progress and to finish the project as soon as possible.
To understand all the challenges that have been overcome, here's Hei Shiqiang, General Manager of CRBC, the very company that has built the highway. 建设这个高速公路经历了哪些挑战和哪些艰辛？完了，现在完成是一个什么样的状态？
首先呢，这个黑山南北高速公路优先段呢，也是中国企业在黑山呢执行的第一个大型的项目，也是黑山呢第一个高速路的项目。因为这个文化差异，这思维方式的不同，包括一些技术理念的不同，确实在这个过程中呢，克服了很多的困难。当然了，这个项目呢意义是很重大的。这个项目呢是“一带一路”具体的实践，也是中黑经贸合作的旗舰项目，也是黑山的一个世纪工程。项目的建成呢，对于黑山的交通便利以及经济发展，包括它的发展纵深都有很大的帮助。特别在这个基建领域意义重大，对于这个标准和规范是更完整了，对于这个管理体系更完善了，对于建设经验更丰富了，执行质量更高效了。
这个两国的，您刚才说到文化不同，思维方式不同，在这个共建优先段高速公路这过程当中克服了怎样的挑战？您有哪些切身的体会，或者跟我们分享一下一些您印象最深的一些故事好吗？
首先从一个技术理念的一个角度来讲吧，就说在整个的设计过程当中，在中国呢，我们的基础设施呢是发展很快的，有成熟的一些经验。那么到了黑山，所有的采用的设计方案必须要经过严格的详细论证。在这个时间上呢，因为大家的这个技术理念呢会存在一些差异，在这个过程中呢，需要耗费大量的精力和时间去不断的去论证说服当地的技术团队呢接受我们的方案。
那这个优先段已经建成了，那您此时此刻您是什么样的感触？特别是在开通的那个时刻，您是什么样的感触？您在这儿也待了快小10年了。
对，这个项目呢，我待了6年，感触特别深刻。在这6年当中，很多的一些事情呢记忆犹深，但是最感动的一点呢，就是通车的那一刻，就是那天晚上这个烟花在空中绽放的那一刻，能感受到就是我们所有建设者，特别是中国建设者，所有建设者为这个项目的付出是值得的，我们的使命也得到了一个肯定。
好，谢谢您，黑总。
好，谢谢，
谢谢。
Images may appear to be identical, but looks can be deceiving. The difference is not always obvious. It has to be discovered. There are always different sides to a story. We put the focus on the details. To see more, to understand better. CGTN. See the difference.
Možda i najveći neimarski poduhvat u našoj istoriji zalog je za razvijenu Crnu Goru koju ćemo ostaviti našoj djeci. Zato danas, 7 godina od početka izgradnje, ne otvaramo samo put, već perspektivu. Za građane, privredu, za Crnu Goru i njenu budućnost.
这是黑山历史上首条高速公路，也是黑山独立以来最大的交通基础设施建设项目，具有4方面重大意义。首先，这是一条安全之路，这条公路的通车将极大改善黑山境内的交通条件，减少伤亡事故，保障生命安全。其次，这是一条发展之路，有助于改善黑山南北地区发展不平衡，助推道路沿线地区和黑山整体经济。第三，这是一条繁荣之路，将全面深化黑山与地区国家及欧洲腹地的互联互通。最后，这是一条友谊之路，将永久融入中黑务实合作史册，塑造不同规模、不同制度、不同文明国家间互利共赢的典范，进一步深化两国友好关系。
How do you feel personally, like traveling on this road? I'm sure you've traveled on this road many, many times. So maybe one of the first time ever you're driven by a Chinese journalist.
That's for sure. Yeah, actually, I took this road only 2 times after its official opening in July. It feels really, really amazing because each kilometer, each structure has a story behind, has so many emotions, so many challenges, but also so many good memories, and finally it's a great success, and this is the only thing that everybody should think about is highway. It is a great success, it was done successfully, and everybody who are working on it should be proud. But returning to the story about the importance of the highway and generally the infrastructure, I always like to say when people start speaking, yeah, but like there are any benefits, would you need a highway in the middle of nowhere? Old Romans,
yeah,
it was like long time before, let's say, some civilizations here in the region, of course not before China, but let's say for Europe, they made this motto in Europe: first you build the roads, and then you conquer, then you make your emperor, then you develop the country. Like you cannot do anything without the infrastructure and the roads.
How would you describe the working solidarity between the Chinese and the people here and the locals? But there must have been some challenges in the beginning: the language, the culture, the working habits.
Of course, the beginning was challenging because you have, let's say, 2 totally different cultures, and sometimes I say even different philosophies.
Yeah,
it's a different approach, different systems, different organization, and also communication, languages, because here there are local people from Montenegro, from regions, speaking in local languages.
Yeah, I was wondering, how could that be resolved?
Yeah, you have a Chinese, but the official language for communication in this project was English, so nobody of us had English as their native language. And then we had the engineer, like a technical checker, engaged by the government of Montenegro, and the engineer staff was mostly from West Europe. And we had only one person who had a native English speaking, so communication itself was extremely challenging. But after some, let's say, initial time, the things got settled, became much more smoother, and I really believe that jointly all these obstacles were overcome. But it was an amazing challenge. We are now approaching the interchange where we are going to end up our travel to this highway.
Wow, it was a short ride. It was not even 25 minutes.
Yeah, and we were driving like steady, smoothly. Here we are now passing, you see, Tirade River. So this river, not in this area, but in some area, let's say 20 kilometers from here, is under the protection of UNESCO. At this exact position, there is an interchange. So this was all the story about the environment. Like, did CRBC made some damage to Tirade River or not? So it is impossible not to go in the river in order to do it, just like construction-wise. And this is something which was never clarified actually in all these media. It was a government decision to construct as it was done. When we go off from the highway, actually there is another bridge over Tara, and you can see that Tara is still there, very clean, very blue, very nice.
And this is the end of the 41-kilometer journey. To say it was a smooth ride is a big understatement. As we drove on it, we couldn't help but marvel at the engineering and technical wonders of this project, which took 7 years to complete. After all, Montenegro has one of Europe's toughest mountainous terrains. Thank you for watching this episode of The Hub. I'm Wang Guan in Montenegro. Bye and take care.